Hello and welcome to episode 42 of the Wisdom from the Akasha podcast. My name is Susie. I am your host and I am an Akashic Records teacher and practitioner. One-on-one sessions for 2025 are booking up fast. I will, as always, put the link in the show notes for those sessions. I appreciate it can sometimes be difficult to know what you're doing in March or April 2025, but it is essential that if you want a one-on-one session for 2025 that you get that booked in. Of course, if it gets nearer to the time and you realize you have an obligation that you have to keep to, as long as I have 48 hours notice, I can amend the appointment for you. But in able for me to do that, you do have to be booked in. Also remember that I will be hosting the free Akashic Records workshop on the 8th of December. I'll put the registration in the show notes. Great chance for you to come and chat to me over on Zoom and ask all of your questions. Today's topic is going to be energetic constipation. And this is something that has been coming up in the Akashic Records a lot with people. And I want to explain what this is and how to move through from energetic constipation to flow. Okay, so energetic constipation is when we are we're consuming lots and lots of different information. Now, there is a stage of the spiritual journey after you've had your awakening where you're going to go through this phase of just wanting to learn everything you possibly can. You're going to go down all of these different rabbit holes. You're going to want to read all of these books, listen to these podcasts. All of that's great. I am all for expanding your knowledge and doing deep dives into topics that you feel called to. There is nothing wrong with that. However, what we must remember that in this day and age, we are constantly bombarded with information, notifications. We're always absorbing all of this stuff, all of this energy. And what can happen with people when they're in the sponge stage of the spiritual journey is they can take all of this information in, but not give it time to integrate, not give it time to marinate. Okay. What can be really helpful when you are perhaps coming to research a specific topic or path or practice is to take the time to read a text and actually allow yourself to absorb the information. So rather than trying to race through it from start to finish, actually taking the time to digest and absorb the information, because your internal navigation system is designed to absorb what it needs, the nutrients and the information that is going to be activating and that is going to help you evolve and grow. And it's also designed to get rid of the stuff that isn't relevant to you that you don't need. Energetic constipation is when you're just constantly consuming this information and you're not giving it time to go through the internal digestion process that the internal navigation system has. What this can lead to is you start to just feel like you're not getting any insights, you're not getting any communication from your guides, you're not getting any inspiration to do anything or to move forward or to create anything. You're just in this stuck energy, and this stuck energy is the energetic constipation. From an energetic perspective, how this will often show up when I connect into someone's Akashic records is they have a lot of energetic stagnation in the Alta major chakra. The Alta major chakra sits at the back of the neck. Think of, for those of you who've seen the movie, where Neo gets plugged into the Matrix. That's where the Alta major chakra is. And the Alta major chakra traditionally is referred to as the mouth of God. This is where you're going to receive a lot of the information and guidance from your guides. And when this is very energetically stagnant, it's often a sign that this individual is taking in too much information that they're not able to digest it. Also, it can have an effect on the third eye chakra because, again, this is an information central point. So energetic stagnation in either of these chakras is a really good sign that someone is suffering from this energetic constipation. Now we understand what energetic constipation is, how it's going to show up from a chakra perspective. How can we move to a place where we're no longer energetically constipated, which is going to allow us to get much more into flow, into connection with the flow of life itself. Number one is to actually take the time, as I explained earlier, to just digest information, to take one concept, one page of a text and really sit with it, reflect on it, absorb it, and allow and trust our internal system to take from it what it needs at that time and to excrete the information, the words that it doesn't need. We absolutely live in an age of distraction, which I've talked about in an earlier podcast episode, but we also live in an age where everybody wants a quick fix. People will believe that if I just read this other spiritual book or I just listen to this next podcast episode, it's going to give me all of the answers that I need and I'm going to become enlightened or I'm going to completely transcend my ego. That isn't how spiritual development works. All of the books, information, podcasts, YouTube videos out there are all designed to provide you with guides, to give you information, to in the right direction, explain things to you, and they're all brilliant. But ultimately, it's all down to the practice. Are you taking the information, the concepts into your personal practice? Are you sitting with yourself? Do you actually know thyself? Okay? Because you can have all of the concepts in the world, you can have all of the fancy terminology, but if you don't know yourself, if you can't sit with yourself in silence and pay attention to what's coming up in the emotional body, pay attention to what's coming up in the mental body and sit with it and then transmute it, then what's the point in understanding all of these different concepts and different terminologies? If you're not moving from concept to embodiment, what's the point in learning all of that stuff? Of course, here, what you will know if you are a regular podcast listener is what I am describing is spending some time in that neutral energy. So, not doing, not consuming, but actually just being and paying attention to what comes up. As you will have undoubtedly heard me say before, life is going to be your biggest spiritual teacher. Your interactions with other people, paying attention to where you're triggered, to what's coming up from before you in your external surroundings, and then going home and utilizing those spiritual practices to explore and reflect upon what has come up in your daily life. This is going to advance you much further in respect of your spiritual evolution than any amount of books, podcast episodes is going to do for you. My final tip is to just have some time off. Okay? Have some time fully embracing your real life. Reconnect to friends and family. Go to movie theatre. Go to a class on pottery or something that you have never done before. Just embrace life itself. Watch some funny movies or reality TV shows, whatever you enjoy to do, because what often people will find is that they are actually starting to use their spiritual search and the accumulation of spiritual knowledge as a form of entertainment. And whilst your spiritual development is supposed to enhance your everyday life, it's supposed to make you really want to just embody those principles and go out into the world and operate from that place of unconditional love for all. But that doesn't mean that you can't have fun, you can't laugh, you can't spend time with people. Okay? If you had wanted to choose the life of a recluse in this lifetime, then that is how that your soul would have chosen that, and you would be looking to join a religious order and go off and live in isolation and solitude. Solitude is a beautiful thing. It's one of my highest values, and I absolutely love my time in solitude, but I also love to go to the theatre. I also love to watch movies at the cinema. I also love to spend time with my loved ones. And when you have energetic constipation, this is actually a very beneficial thing to do because it helps you reconnect to the world and the people within which you are living. And it can help you see, okay, where am I actually embodying these spiritual principles? Or am I just still at the level of concept? Knowledge and wisdom are two different things. Knowledge is information that the brain understands. Wisdom is heart led. Wisdom is truth that is felt. It's the embodiment of unconditional love. It's the embodiment of service to others. It's not the understanding of oneness, it's the living from a place of oneness. I hope that you have found this episode useful. And if you are someone who believes you have energetic constipation, remember that it's only ever the ego that's in a hurry. The soul never is. So do take some time out and allow the energy to start moving through you again. I hope that you all have a beautiful, restful weekend, and I will see you next week for the next episode.